Hi class, in this video I'll show you how to do number 1 on your chapter 9 apply homework. It looks like a very long homework, but it's really just very simple. Just take it step by step. So the question says, consider the Bangladeshi market for tangerine. The following graph shows the domestic demand and domestic supply curve for tangerines in Bangladesh. Suppose Bangladesh government currently does not allow the international trade for tangerine. So use the black point to indicate the equilibrium price of a ton tangerine and the equilibrium quantity of tangerine in Bangladesh in the absence of international trade. Then use the green point to shade the area representing consumer surplus in equilibrium. Finally, use the purple point to shade the area representing the producer surplus in equilibrium. So the first part is very simple. It's asking for equilibrium and the consumer and producer surplus. Equilibrium coming from supply-demand intersection. So again, this point over here is our equilibrium. And then for the consumer surplus will be the area between your demand curve and your price line. So this triangle is our consumer surplus, and the producer surplus will be the triangle below. So this difference between your supply curve and your price line, that's your producer surplus. And the next part of the question asking, based on the previous graph, the total surplus in the absence of free trade. So let's do a little calculation. To find the total surplus, we need to find the area for this big triangle over here. So the area, the purple triangle plus the green triangle. Remember your formula for triangle is base times height divided by 2. So let's use this vertical distance as our base. So you go from 200 to 700. So we use 500 times, and then the vertical distance will go from 0 to 200, so times 200, and then divided by 2. So base times height over 2, the answer is 50,000. Now you need to be careful because over here your quantity says thousands of tons of tangerine. So once you have this 50,000, make sure add 30 behind it. So it should be total of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 zeros. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then let's put some commas in here so we can see exactly what this number is. Numbers, separator. Okay, so our total is going to be 15 million. So let's go back over here. So the total surplus is going to be 15 million. Alright, next we'll introduce trade. So the following graph shows the same domestic supply and demand supply curve for tangerine in Bangladesh. Suppose the Bangladeshi government changed its international trade policy to allow free trade of tangerine. The horizontal black line represents the world price of tangerine at 500 per ton. Assuming Bangladesh entry into the world market for tangerine has no effect on the world price, and there are no transportation or transaction costs associated with international trade in tangerine. Also assume the domestic supplier will satisfy domestic demand as much as possible before any exporting or importing take place. So before the trade, our equilibrium was 450. And now with trade, the new world price will be 500. So when the world price becomes 500, the domestic price also becomes 500. Now if that's the case, consumer will be demanding less and producer will be demanding more. So your new consumer surplus will be the difference between your demand curve and your price line. So this small triangle over here, that's your consumer surplus. And then your producer surplus is the same supply curve and the price line, but because your price line move higher now, it's now becoming this big triangle. So this big area over here and then this smaller area next to it. So this area is our new producer surplus. And let's answer the question over here. When Bangladesh allow free trade of tangerine, the price for a ton tangerine in Bangladesh will be 500. At this price, our quantity of tangerine will be demanded. So the demand line over here at $500. This point right here is our consumption point. So if you go down, that's about 160,000. So 160,000 of ton will be demanded, and then supply will be this point over here between supply curve and price line. So that's about 240,000. So 240,000 will be supplied. So we produce 240,000. We consume 160,000. So we'll produce 240,000, and then minus our 160,000. The total surplus was 80,000 ton tangerine, and this 80,000 ton will be export overseas. So our export will be 80,000 ton tangerine. So use the information from the previous task, complete the following table to analyze the welfare effect of allowing free trade. So consumer surplus and producer surplus before trade and after trade. Before trade, so let's do this over here. The consumer surplus before trade is the green triangle on top. So let's find the area over here. The vertical distance is from 700 to 450. So let's do 700 minus 450. That's the vertical distance. And then the horizontal distance is from 0 to 200. So times 200. And then divided by 2. Well, 200,000. Be careful. And then divided by 2. And then let's use a divider or a separator. So it's about 25 million. So our consumer surplus before trade is 25 million. Well, they already have $1 million. Okay, so 25 million. And then for our producer surplus, go back. So same calculation. The vertical distance is from 200 to 450. So 450 minus 200 times the horizontal distance is from 0 to 200, so 200, and then or 200,000, and then divided by 2. So again, it's also 25 million. So 25 million for producer surplus. Now with trade, let's do this graph over here. Our new consumer surplus, the vertical distance from 700 to 500. So 700 minus 500 times 200,000 divided by 2. It's going to be 20 million. So consumer surplus is 20 million. And then for producer surplus, it's going to be from 200 to 500. So 500 minus 200. And then times 200,000 divided by 2. So it's going to be 30 million consumer surplus. Oh, no. Be careful, guys. Be careful. We made a mistake over here. See, for good thing we called it. For our producer surplus, you shouldn't use the horizontal distance. Is not 20. It's not 200,000. It should be 160,000. It goes only to this point over here. Let's change this. That was close. So again, the vertical distance is from 700 to 500, and then times the horizontal distance is only goes from this point, so 0 to 160,000. So 160,000, and then divided by 2. So should it only be 160,000 or 16 million? So this one should be 16 million. And then for our producer surplus is the same vertical distance, so it's going to be from 500 minus 200, and then times the horizontal distance is from this point to this point now, so at 240,000. So times 240,000, and then divided by 2. So it should be 36 million. Is that right? Something looks wrong. Let me redo it. So 500 minus 200. 500 minus 200 times, lights up. There we go. Alright, it's motion detection. Times the vertical distance is from 0 to 240,000.